So let's talk about costs. This 625 a day, I just like that's not going to work for me. I mean, yeah, it fits under my budget, but that's not really the way I want to do it. So I looked into other places, other ways of hosting the data to get rid of this 388 per day database cost. I went with Planet Scale. I'll show you that. And then I said, well, what about all these hosting costs here? Can I get rid of that? The answer is yes. I went with DigitalOcean. So let me tell you about how that process worked. Oh, let me tell you about the time card. No, let me go back to what phase 6 is. All right, so switch the database to Planet Scale. I mentioned that. Handle the message queue so that we're actually going through all those messages that were queued up we saw from the end of the last video, phase 5, and we send that out if they're not unsubscribed from the email, or if they're not, if they are approved to send SMS, if they've opted in. They only send out text messages to users who have opted in. And then I have a limit because I have some experience at this, actually, sending out various messaging. To stay away from legal issues, I'm only going to send out messages between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. If it's later than that, sorry, wait till the next morning. The queue will just automatically send that out in the morning. And then anything that's more than a day old, I'm just going to pause those messages, because for whatever reason, they keep getting stuck in the queue going around and around, and we don't want to have that. If for whatever reason someone is opted out or unsubscribed, we don't want the message to stay in the queue indefinitely. And then I also did some cleanup and sophistication, and that color scheme, I kind of got used to it for a while there, but it really was ugly. And I went out to Canva and got some ideas for what some nice look like, and took little pieces of one idea or another, found some background images, and made this new design I'm about to show you. And made a public website, just a single page, and published these different tiers. Now, we're not actually charging any money at this point. I don't expect that anyone's going to pay for it anyway, but some future version after it's released, I'll see if I can charge. But I think people have to first be interested in it. Like, what's the point in building that out if no one's going to be using it? I did rework the Terraform so that I don't have the database, so I can go back to using Amazon AWS ECS. It's all set up to do that. I just don't want to spend the money. And I did also change the word buyer to the word giver, because I realized that, wait, receiver, the opposite of receiver is giver, not buyer, because you can give gifts that aren't necessarily bought, right? So I think it's a more general term. Okay, that's it for that. And time card, yeah, I just counted up. I'm up to 175 hours. That was surprising. I didn't expect that. It's just a bigger project than I had imagined, and my wife is a bit surprised that I'm spending all this time on such a quote-unquote silly project. But anyway, here's what the main website looks like for now. I don't have any logos, so usually I would put a logo in the upper left corner, but I don't have a logo, and I am not going to try to make one. I don't know, maybe I could steal one from somewhere that looks like a Santa or something. It just seems so lame. So I don't know. I'll cross that bridge later. But let's just say this is the color scheme I went with, these kind of more muted colors. I think I need to pick a different red color for this, because I am letting people have the basic plan for free to start out. I'm just going to pay for the text messages myself. I think they're 0.7 or 0.8 cents per text, something like that. Actually, it's per text segment. So each segment is 160 characters. So as long as I keep my messages under 160 characters, it's only going to cost me 0.8 cents each. But Yeah, I'll have to count up how long my messages are. I haven't really looked at that detail yet. Anyway, so you can go here and sign up, and let's see, does that work? It's work? Yes. It goes to the sign in page, which, give it a try, brings us to your registration page, as you recall. Um, Perhaps I should, use cookies or do some sort of mechanism to know whether or not we should be on the registration page or whether we should be on the login page. Anyway, let's talk about database options. I went with PlanetScale because it's like MySQL at scale. I looked into Atlas, which is MongoDB at scale. I like their service, but I'm not really into Mongo quite yet. I think it's more scalable architecture. I just don't really need it at this stage. We have so far to go before we have to worry about that. CockroachDB is a decent service, but they are Postgres. It's not really my style. It's just a little bit different from MySQL. I've just been used to MySQL for so many years. It's just hard to make that transition. So I went with PlanetScale. This is what I got going here. I have it's set. I mean, what they show me is they've got a load balancer, and I'm not sure what that is, like a hosting area and then a single database. I've only got 12 tables in my design. I'm allowed to use 5 gigabytes of space, but I'm only using 1.3 megabytes. So I guess I have a ways to go. And then for, my reads versus writes, 1 billion and 10 million, I'm up to 1,300 reads. Ooh. So we have a long way to go. So this is me turning on the service to start checking the queue. This is what it was doing before, and now I'm actually checking the queue on a regular basis. I think I mentioned that did I say that already? I hooked up the queuing mechanism, the queue checking mechanism, up to the health check. Let's pull up the health check. All right, so if you look over here, I just set a timeout and I do the process queue. So the health immediately comes back saying, yeah, everything's cool, but then it also processes the queue. And the queue checks the time of day, but then also it does a query to the database. All right, what else should I say about the database? It's working great. I can access it from home. I can access it from anywhere. Ran the same setup scripts that I did for AWS you saw in the previous video. And let's take a look at DigitalOcean. So I went with DigitalOcean for running my Docker container. I did look at other competitors, but I have a particular personal reason why I chose them. And I like what they have. They've really come along in their offerings. They didn't used to have all this stuff when I first looked at them. I was just able to host some static sites, and now we're up to containers. So the first step I did is I went over and created a container registry for Family Santa, and then in order to connect things up, I have to download their tool called Doctl, D-O-C-T-L. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You download that tool. It's a command line tool. Then you go in and make a Docker image of your site, which we've seen on a previous video how to do that. And then you push it up to their registry. The commands are very similar to AWS. I'm not going to show you. Read their documentation. It's not hard. It's a single line. Then once you have a registry entry, and there's actually a Docker image up in there, you go in there, make an app, you set it up to run anything that comes from that registry. So you put in the 2 environmental variables that you need for setting up the database. Then, as you recall, it now reads everything else out of the database. So I just need those 2 entries, username and password, basically. Then I went and changed the health route to be /health. Oh, and then there's an auto deploy is turned on. So it grabs this registry, and anytime that I push into the registry, it republishes. And I'm on the Pro plan, which is 2 instances of $12 a month, which, I really only need one, but eventually it's nice for redundancy. And that's going to cost me $24 a month, which is a lot cheaper than what AWS is. But I'm also on the free trial, which gives me $200 credit. So I think my project will be over before I've spent the $200. But I think there's also, I think the trial only works for 60 days as well. So, my trial will be up by the time Christmas comes, and then that'll be it. All right. So, what else should I cover? Oh yeah, I had to go into AWS and add a here we go, app.familysanta.com to look over at the default subdomain that they give you, and that's definitely supported by their service. Yeah, pretty cool stuff, and really saving me a lot of money. I guess that's it for this video.